Again, welcome to another session of How to in 12D. This time we're going to look at converting our UDLA tree blocks into 3D trees of different kinds. That includes existing, removed, relocated, and proposed. So the first things you want to look at will be opening the UDLA XREF, and you can do that as a read-only. In fact, you should just do it as a read-only. So if we look into our CAD XREFs folder, under the global subfolder, there is this file here. Check the date, make sure Gemma or Jesse Byrne have done a recent check-in. So we have one here that was done the day prior. So in this instance, Gemma's messaged us and let us know that it's to be updated. So we'll take that as the latest. So I've already opened a read-only copy in CAD. As you can see here, there's all the different blocks which represent the different types. The other file that we want, and we'll just skip back to Synergy, is under separate folder under internal working files / utilities, and that particular DWG is called XR Trees Burst. So this DWG will receive the blocks that we will copy from the original UDLA XREF, and from there we'll begin the process. So I already have that checked out and open in CAD. And now we're jumping back into CAD. So the first thing to do is just to make sure that we have emptied it out. Just delete, go through and delete the previously burst blocks. Just select like so. There shouldn't be any other native elements in the DWG that are of importance. So clean away. That looks clear. And so now it should be the same case with the UDLA XREF, just copying the native elements. In this case, it should all be blocks. And even if there's other polylines or points, it won't really matter in the scheme of things. So there are a number of elements. And we should be able to copy them all and paste. So for the number of objects that we've just pasted in, that's taken maybe 5 or 6 seconds. It's not too bad. Next thing we'll do is just run the burst command, and you should be able to select the entire area, and it'll just pick up the blocks to essentially deconstruct. So that took a bit longer, but there seems to be no issues with CAD processing that. And now we can save that DWG as is. So the next step following the block burst and saving of that file is to then navigate to one of the 12D projects. So at this point, the processing has to be done in 4 projects. You've got one for the existing trees, and that sits in the, and I'll just pull over the synergy window. The existing trees are processed in the utilities existing project, which you should find under the global projects subfolder under 12D. I already have that open, so I'm just going to pull that into view. And for this how-to video, I've just created a separate view called X trees, and you can see the parcel boundaries. So this is zone 3. Red represents the removed or the trees to be removed. Grey represents existing trees that will remain, and then there are others. Orange color represents trees to be relocated. So to undertake the next step, and this will be the same process in the other projects. So we'll just stick with maybe this project for existing, and then we'll hop into another one to show the proposed, and that should be good enough to see you through for the other zones. So I've got a chain called X trees. And you can see it's just a few steps actually. You begin by cleaning some of the temporary models, and then you clean the 3D models. As you can see, it's captured all the zones. Then you read in the XR trees burst DWG. Next line drapes, and then you start to see that the points belonging to the particular tree type will then start to be processed into that particular tree object. So in this case, we start with relocated trees. And then it's divided into its geographical zone. So let's just run this and see what happens. I'm just going to move this out of the way. Okay, so that seems to have completed the chain. It took a little bit longer than anticipated, but it's primarily due to the Superton validation, which always seems to take much longer than it should. But let's just have a look in a 3D view to see what it looks like. Those trees, let's look at the existing. So quick visual check looks like that in terms of levels, they all look like they should across the zones. So I think we're pretty happy with that. And once that is complete, it's a matter of, I guess, first checking it in. It's always good to record comments as well. So in this case, we'll say updates to just something simple. So once the project is checked in, you will publish these elements under the design reference project, and there's a chain in there which you should be familiar with that takes care of that. So that is the existing trees done. Now let's have a look at one of the proposed zones. So we're looking at a project called Utility Zone 2 to 4. You will find that under the Zone Multi subfolder within the 12D main folder. So once again, let's just navigate to Zone 3. We can see the proposed trees sitting there, and we also have another type of proposed tree called the Stratavolt tree. It's basically a tree inside a Stratavolt tree pit. So these have a rotation applied from the block, given that they are currently square, until we are told otherwise. So to run the chain, it's navigating to ends up proposed tree zone 2 to 4, and essentially it's the same process. This time it's a little bit different in that the points are draped to a design super tin. In this case, it's called super design. So it's just a part of due diligence. Just need to make sure that super tin is up to date. The process depends on that. So the way to check that is just to run the update. Well, that took 166 seconds, so that's longer than I anticipated, but hopefully that means the actual chain will run quickly, having already validated it. Let's give it a go. Okay, so that looks like it's completed the chain. Let's have a look. So looking good in zone 4. Here we are in zone 3. And zone 2. So it's just looking like it should, really. So again, the next step from here is just to do a check-in and really rinse and repeat for the other two projects. So while it's loading this, I'll just show you where the other design projects reside. Zone 1 is one of the others, so that is in the Zone 1 subfolder under the 12D main folder. And the last one is under Zone 5 and 6 subfolder. So they'll have the same chains. Again, all you should need to do is check that the supertins are up to date or valid in those projects, run the chains and check them in. And then of course the last step will be to enter the design reference project and publish the UDLA existing and remove IFCs from that location, and that should be the job done for updating trees.